Like we were talking right before the show.
Yeah.
Is it about Dearborn? Is that where it is?
Dearborn, Michigan, yeah.
So we're a bunch of really progressive people, thought it's amazing.
Sure.
Bring everyone in.
Bring 'em
Everyone's welcome. And so they got enough Muslim people in there where they could vote in a mayor. And then this guy says, no more pride flags.
No more pride flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're inching towards what they would like.
Yes.
Which is Sharia law. If you ask
For sure.
most people who live in these Islamic countries. Now, again, if you're asking them, they're probably under duress. They're probably terrified of saying the wrong thing.
Right.
So you've got to factor that in. But at least a percentage of them think Sharia law would be a great idea.
I think there's certainly I mean, and this was covered up too. A lot of the grooming gang scandal there.
Yeah, so we're looking at it right now. It says this is on National Review, the UK's horrific rape gangs. So is this the rape gang inquiry report, right? So who put this report out? Members of Parliament and Restore Britain party leader Rupert Lowe. And so the investigators had limited powers, such as inability to compel witnesses or require sort of document production that could corroborate some of the most heinous victims. Viewed with those limitations in mind, the independent report is a damning collection of victim testimonies that vividly portray the sexual terrorism that occurred nationwide for decades. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is terrible. I mean, obviously. I mean,
I think they said it was 250,000 girls.
And this was covered up because the media didn't want to inflame anger against, population of migrants.
Right.
Most of whom I'm sure were innocent of this, obviously.
Obviously.
But it is something that, in a free society, everyone has the right to know if there are rape gangs in their country and who's operating them.
But isn't that crazy that under the guise of progressiveness, you've enabled rape gangs?
Well, 100%. It's crazy. But it's also incredibly, it's not shocking because the ends justify the means approach of politics seems to be what we're doing right now. Whereas basically, if the goal is to just eliminate whatever it's being called, like this patriarchal, white, male-dominated society, and if you want to get rid of that, and that's the end goal, a lot of people ignore what happens in the middle. Like, a lot of people aren't super concerned about whose rights are being respected in that process because their end goal really is to kind of decrease the power of people they disagree with. So, I mean, it's like, it's hard to look at this and not see a design. And I don't quite know exactly where the design comes from, but it's odd that this is all happenstance because everybody knows it's happening and people are afraid to talk about it. So I would imagine that at some point, for example, like countries like Ireland right now that are having lots of issues over this, it's, they're part of the EU. And the EU would set migration policy for Ireland. So the EU is a supranational organization that would basically say, here's how many migrants you have to admit. Here's your carbon emission standards. Here's your, monetary policy, whatever it is. And Ireland is kind of in that sense, they feel like they're losing their sovereignty. They're losing their ability to chart the course of their own country to a supranational organization that primarily seems concerned with the economics, because if you bring in more migrants, you can artificially grow the economy, which is what they're doing. A lot of people in Europe are not having children. So a lot of these economies are run by people that are not really too concerned about the cultural landscape of bringing migrants in. They're looking more about how do we grow this economy? How do we get cheap, help and how do we get workers? And a lot of it is you're getting third world migrants. Some of it's genuine refugees for sure, but a lot of it's economic migration. People are coming for better life. Hard to blame them. But do the people that live in those countries get to have a better life? That's the question. If you lived in Ireland, do you get to have a better life? Do your economic prospects get to grow? Do your children get to own property? Do they get to have health insurance and a job and things like that? And no one seems that concerned about that. Like these citizens who've lived forever in these countries, whose grandparents have fought and died in wars to secure the freedom of some of those countries, Britain, UK, things like that. Those citizens seem to not be as prioritized as people coming in from other countries. And that's one of the big problems that they're having there.
Well, it's really interesting to watch, because if there is a plan, I mean, it's not interesting, it's kind of horrific, but it's interesting in that.
It can be both.
It can be both.
Sure.
If there is a plan, like, whose plan? Whose plan and who's benefiting from this? Like, why would you do this?
I think it's a small group of people that concern themselves primarily with economic matters, that don't care that nation states have cultures and histories and customs, and that doesn't bother them as much. And their basic response is to just deal with it and to call everyone a racist who questions it, or to say everyone's jingoist or ethnocentric or anti-immigrant or whatever. They shut down those conversations. And I think it's because a lot of people believe more in a global world, and they don't believe in a world of nation states that have their own ability to govern themselves. They want to take that power economically from those people, and then eventually they want to take it culturally and every other way. So they just want to go around the world and say, here's the way every country will look. Here's the economic policy of every country. And if the people in those countries don't like it and they express, that on social media, they're going to get kicked off. And if they organize in the streets, they're going to use, military authority to fire water cannons at them or shut them down or use gas or whatever. And if there's a genuine resistance movement to some of it, they're going to infiltrate it and turn it into some psychotic thing,
right,
which they do all the time.
Right.
So it's hard to see it, not to sound like a paranoid nut job, but that's what I am and how I've made my living. But I think it is clearly someone's design. This isn't happenstance. None of this has to happen. We don't have to invade countries, sponsor coups, steal resources, and then drench our communities in guilt and say, now we have to bring all those people here and you have to deal with it. None of that has to happen. That's a strategy of a group of people that want to keep perpetuating this.
Do you think it also has one of the factors might be that they want conflict? The more conflict people have in the streets, the less they're going to pay attention to what the government's doing?
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
I also think the more chaos in the street, the more likely you're going to be willing to accept
new laws,
new
surveillance,
technologies.
Yeah.
And you're going to just say, I want peace.
Yeah.
And I don't care how we get it. I don't care how we achieve it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very possible. But it does feel like it's on the road a little bit to where people want a uniform standard across. But as you've said earlier in this, it's very interesting because this uniform standard is supposed to include non-binary art students in Vermont and religious Muslims from North Africa.
Yeah.
Good luck. But I mean,
But it's amazing that the people that would be most opposed, the people that, if you do bring those people in, the people that are going to hate the most are the people that want them in the most.
yes.
They're the ones who are most likely
Yes.
to say we shouldn't have some border that keeps some person from
Totally.
coming here and no person's illegal.
And the people that want them in the most, I think, are not even the people bringing them in. They're being used.
Right. They're suicidal empathy.
Their empathy is being
Yeah.
weaponized. It's being used.
Gad Saad
People,
talks about it.
right. So people that are manufacturing this reality are using those people. These are the same people who really don't care if people in the state over have health care.
Right.
These are people that haven't spoken to their sister in 2 years.
Right.
And they care a ton about people in the Ukraine or people that are coming over from Syria, whatever. But we fucked up Syria. We put that guy in who used to be in ISIS. We got rid of Gaddafi. There's slave markets in Libya.
Right.
So we did that. We sent refugees all through Europe. We destabilized all of Europe. And, you can't take us out of it. You can't take Western powers out of it. You can't take Israel out of it. You can't take the U.S. and Britain and France and a lot of other powers that have destabilized these countries and sent these people flooding through Western countries, European countries.
Yeah, fun.
It's going to be a fun next 50 years.
It's kind of crazy when you see images of France. There was a video of France from 1998 from Paris.
Yeah.
Versus today. They
Yeah.
showed like 1998 and then they showed
It's a
2026.
it's a
world.
different thing. And, listen, some of that's inevitable. The world changes, different groups of people, but then you look in Ireland, this guy just got beheaded in the street, which I'm against and I think is wrong. And he beheaded some guy, a migrant who had been brought in, had beheaded or damn near beheaded, tried to. And there's a video of it. And now Belfast, it's probably quieted down now, but there were like tremendous riots. They were like burning things down because they're like, we never got a vote on this. We never got a vote on bringing the people in.
Yeah.
We never got a vote on that. No one ever asked us how much demographic change we wanted in our country and how quickly and what we were prepared to do. No one ever asked that.
People don't like to admit it, but an armed population, it's much more difficult to pull things off on an
100%.
armed population.
100%.
And that's another part of the problem with the UK and with Ireland and all these places. It's very difficult to have a gun.
Diversity also relies on a very productive economy. So New York City works to the degree it does because people can go out and get jobs because the economic reality of the city is that it can support a lot of people coming in. There are a lot of jobs for those people. But when you have a stagnant economy, like many parts of the UK, that's a lot harder. It's a harder sell, harder to assimilate people into a landscape where the people there are not doing well. Like the people that have lived there forever are not thriving. They don't feel great. Their prospects economically aren't great. And now you're bringing all these new people who also are struggling to find work. So that's part of the problem.
Do you think that this is being done with a strategy knowing that AI is about to completely disrupt society?
Yes. I believe, this is what I believe. I believe no one's trying to get anyone in this country to own a house. No, people pay lip service to the idea, but there's a lot of people now, a lot of them are my age, who have never owned a home and never will. And no one's wants them. They've forgotten what owning a home feels like. They've forgotten what it feels like to have a yard where you can invite people over and drink a glass of wine and smoke a cigar and watch a game. And they live in a little apartment. They type, they're on a MacBook. They're getting radicalized in any direction. They're upset. They're on dating apps or whatever, but they don't feel like they have a foundational core to their life. No one has really even given them the idea that they're going to get that. So I think that's just one of the things where they're basically saying no, you don't need a house and you're not getting a house and forget what owning a house was. Forget that doesn't matter. And I think part of this is because they know, the same thing with healthcare. There's no real movement to give anyone healthcare in this country. And if it is, it gets shut down immediately. So on the positive side, you might go, well, they know that AI is coming and that AI is going to do a lot of stuff with health. And it's going to help extend lifespans. But also on the negative side, they go, AI is going to disrupt the economy to a point where we're not going to have people owning homes and cars and things like that. We're going to have a lot of people without a steady income, or they don't really know what to do. We're going to have a lot of wealth that's existed, a lot of capital, and we're going to have tremendous inequality. We're going to have a lot of joblessness. So for sure, I think that they're preparing for that. I mean, there's no way you can look at the landscape because they're selling the country off for parts. And this is both parties, and this is they're selling it off for parts. So, I mean, obviously, something's coming. Something's coming for sure. And I don't know when it is, and I'm sure the AI thing's overblown to an extent. and I think so much of our GDP depends on it that a lot of these companies are lying. But Anthropic's a creepy. These are creepy companies. You know, I mean, they're just creepy.
Well, the amount of power
Yeah.
that tech companies have in general
Totally.
is unprecedented. There's never been corporations. I mean, unless you go back to like the East India Corporation that, you know, you go back
Yeah,
in the day
right.
where they had like an enormous army.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
And they took over India and
Yeah.
Pakistan. But if you look at what they're doing, it's very different than that. You know, other than the army part, what they have is robot armies. And then they have AI, which Elon just recently said is going to be like 1,000,000 times smarter than the smartest human that's ever lived.
Right.
Like, this is the goal. The goal is to create literally a digital god. And it's going to be controlled by not us, not the collective human race. It's going to be controlled by a select few group of people. And that's weird. Like, and we're just trusting them.
Well, that's why you're not getting a vote on immigration levels, or you're not going to get a vote on, you know, like,
Yeah.
I think the reality is that eventually they're going to go, do you want safe streets? Do you want food? Do you want a little bit of money? You got to
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z. You got to believe X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I mean, that seems to be coming.
And it seems like if you put people in a corner and you get them scared, this is what we learned during COVID. Like, they will back down. They'll go along with a lot of stupid shit.
They'll try to find comfort, and they will listen to people that they deem to be worthy.
Yeah.
You know?
They'll trust the government, which is wild. The left is the people that trust the government.
Well,
now.
you have all these studies that come out. You know, this is the thing that I like. I love London, and the people there are great, and they're fun people and everything like that. But they have because they get healthcare. They get a little more from their government than we do. There's more trust in their government than we have in our government, and there's positives to that, and there's negatives. But they're a society of rules and customs and order, and it is a bit different. So I think they are more likely to go along with the grand plan of the government more so than the United States, where we really do question more what's happening than people in Europe or the UK overall.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, right? They have socialized health care. They have, isn't their education paid for completely? Isn't university?
Yeah, they have good stuff. They have a good life.
Yeah. There's benefits to that.
Totally.
There's like a balance to be achieved. I've always said that, like, in this country, it's foolish that we don't pay for higher education. Like, the more educated people, the better. Like, the less losers, the better. Like,
Part of our country is where we manufacture a lot of geniuses. We also manufacture a lot of psychopaths. That's what our culture does.
a lot of sociopaths.
A lot of sociopaths.
A lot of people that don't give a fuck about anything but
A
success.
lot of people that don't care about anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing that comes along with the gluttony too, right? It's
Yeah.
celebrated, and they don't even realize that outward gluttony, it just inspires all these eat the rich people.
The whole thing is out of balance. That's what I would describe America. If you had to describe it in 3 words, it's just out of balance. It's out of balance. It does it, and it's hard because we've got 350 million people. It's hard to and it's like, what do the people in Menlo Park have to do with the people in Baton Rouge? Have to do with the people in Canarsie? Like, yeah, I get it. It's a weird place. So you have all these different climates, habitats. People have different interests. But I think AI might unite people because, like, the idea of this as such a powerful force, if people don't start getting cognizant of it eventually and start, talking about regulating it or anything, I do think it is going to be, a very strange time if people, just ignore it forever.
It's going to do something weird. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be like whatever is coming over the next 20 years. No one is predicting it.
I get the feeling when you see a lot of these tech guys start adopting Christianity.
How about Peter Thiel's whole Antichrist thing?
Yeah, he does that whole thing.
What is he doing? He gave a fucking lecture on the Antichrist.
Gives a bunch of lectures on the Antichrist. He's fascinated with it, and a lot of those guys are moving into this interesting area of this is God wants this. Like J.D. Vance, who's not the worst person, obviously, and I think he's the sanest voice in that administration about the Iran war.